Drake is one of the most successful artists to ever walk this earth.
When Drake was asked who should present him with the Artist of the Decade, he had a lot of choices. It could have been one of his peers, it could have been one of his mentors, it could have just been one of his very famous friends that are interesting.
But before he was selling out stadiums, breaking streaming records, and signing nine-figure deals, he was just a kid from Toronto trying to figure out his next move. Most people know the music, most people know the hits, but very few people actually understand the size of what this man has built in his own city.
And Drake says it's for his own safety, with people already trying to snap pictures and even get onto his property. He's even dropped $1 million on trees so his neighbors will have more to look at than, just the wall.
We ain't just talking about a mansion. We ain't just talking about a record label or a clothing brand. We're talking about a full-scale empire rooted deep in Toronto that has turned one Canadian city into the backdrop of one of the greatest come-up stories in entertainment history. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Drake, his empire, and how this man literally owns a city. Drake, born Aubrey Drake Graham on October 24, 1986, is a rapper, singer, songwriter, actor, and full-blown mogul out of Toronto, Canada. Best known for redefining what hip-hop could sound like, Drake is the man behind some of the most streamed songs in music history. Hits like God's Plan, Hotline Bling, One Dance, and too many others to count. But before all of that, before the private jet and the $100 million mansion and the global dominance, there was just a kid from a middle-class neighborhood in North Toronto trying to find his footing. Aubrey grew up in Forest Hill, a relatively well-off part of Toronto, but his household wasn't without its complications. His parents split when he was just 5 years old. His father, Dennis Graham, a drummer who had played with Jerry Lee Lewis, moved back to Memphis, Tennessee, leaving young Aubrey to be raised by his mother, Sandy Graham, a teacher and florist. The separation hit different for a kid that age. His dad wasn't around the way he needed him to be, and his mom was working hard just to keep things together. Drake spent years referencing that dynamic in his music. The absent father, the strong mother, the loneliness that comes with growing up in that kind of in-between space where you're not broke but you ain't fully settled either. He went to Forest Hill Collegiate Institute and later Vaughan Road Academy. School was fine, but Drake was always more drawn to the arts. He had an eye for performance, a natural charisma, and a desire to be seen that went beyond your average classroom. That hunger is what eventually led him to one of the most unexpected starting points in hip-hop history. When Drake was around 15, a friend's father, who happened to be an actor, connected him to an audition for a Canadian teen drama called Degrassi: The Next Generation. Drake landed the role of Jimmy Brooks, a basketball player who gets shot and ends up in a wheelchair. And just like that, he went from regular Toronto teenager to working actor on one of Canada's most popular youth shows. Now, a lot of people sleep on what this period actually meant for Drake. He wasn't rapping yet, not publicly at least. He was grinding through TV schedules, learning how to perform in front of cameras, how to take direction, how to hold an audience. He spent 8 seasons on Degrassi, 8 seasons, from 2001 all the way to 2009. That's years of developing discipline, emotional range, and an understanding of storytelling that most rappers never get to study. But here's the real part people miss. While Drake was filming Degrassi, he wasn't being compensated like a star. The money was modest, his mom was dealing with health issues, and at certain points they were really stretching to make ends work. There were times where Drake was funding things out of his own Degrassi earnings just to keep the lights on and help his mother out. That ain't the image people have when they think of Drake, but that's the reality of where he came from. He wasn't born into luxury, he built toward it. And all the while he was writing, recording, pouring everything into music on the side. The streets of Toronto, the loneliness, the complicated feelings about family, the ambition, the love life. All of it was going into bars that nobody outside his immediate circle had heard yet. Drake was preparing, even when he didn't fully know what he was preparing for. The moment everything changed for Drake came in 2006 when he dropped his first official mixtape, Room for Improvement. He was 19 years old, still on Degrassi, and he just quietly released this thing online. No major label, no massive budget, no cosign from anyone famous yet. Just Drake, a mic, and a vision. That first project started building a small but real buzz in Toronto and across online rap communities. He followed it up in 2007 with Comeback Season, which included a track called City Is Mine that started picking up steam. Then in 2009, everything shifted. Drake dropped So Far Gone, a mixtape that didn't sound like anything else that was coming out at the time. It was personal, in a way rap hadn't really been in a while. It was melodic but hard, emotional but confident. It blended singing and rapping in a way that felt completely natural rather than gimmicky. So, Far Gone went crazy. The project spread across the internet like wildfire and caught the attention of one of the biggest names in the game, Lil Wayne. Wayne heard what Drake was doing and reached out. That connection led to Drake signing with Young Money Entertainment in 2009, linking with Cash Money Records, one of the most powerful imprints in hip-hop at the time. From that point, everything accelerated. His debut studio album, Thank Me Later, dropped in 2010 and debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. A first-time artist, #1, out the gate. That let the whole industry know this wasn't just a moment, this was a movement. Drake followed that up with Take Care in 2011, an album that's widely considered one of the greatest rap albums ever recorded. It won the Grammy for Best Rap Album. It went platinum multiple times over, and it fully established Drake not just as a rapper or a singer, but as a genre-defying artist who played by his own rules. Nothing Was the Same came in 2013. If you're reading this, it's too late, dropped in 2015 and sold 1 million copies in its first week. Views, More Life, Scorpion, Certified Lover Boy, honestly, never mind, For All the Dogs. Album after album, the man kept delivering and kept dominating. By the early 2020s, Drake had become the most streamed male artist on Spotify of all time. He was the first artist ever to surpass 50 billion streams on the platform. His catalog has since crossed 100 billion global streams. 100 billion. That ain't a number you even really wrap your head around. You just gotta sit with it for a second and understand what that kind of reach actually means for someone's bank account and their legacy. So at this point in the story, Drake's musical dominance is already established. But what separates the greats from the legends ain't just the music. It's what you do with the platform the music gives you. And this is where Drake's story gets really interesting because the man didn't just ride the wave. He went out and built his own ocean. Let's start with the money. As of 2026, Drake's net worth is estimated at $400 million. That's $400 million built from music, yes, but also from business moves that most people don't give him nearly enough credit for. The biggest single move he made was in 2022 when he signed a deal with Universal Music Group worth an estimated $400 million. That deal covered everything: his music catalog, future albums, publishing rights, merchandise, and media projects. Some industry insiders suggested he walked away with a $360 million advance on that deal alone. Drake even referenced it in his own lyrics, bars about getting a $360 million advance that had billionaires talking different. That one deal alone reshaped his financial standing overnight and pushed his net worth past the $200 million mark before 2023 even started. And on top of that catalog deal, the man tours like nobody else in the game. His It's All a Blur tour, which ran through 2023 and 2024, grossed over $320 million. That made it the highest-grossing hip-hop tour in history, the highest grossing ever. Drake reportedly pulls between $1 million and $2 million per show on major runs. Let that sit with you for a second. Per show, not per month, per show. Now let's get into the businesses, because this is where Toronto really starts to feel his presence in a whole different way. Drake co-founded OVO Sound, which stands for October's Very Own, back in 2012, alongside his longtime collaborators Noah 40 Shabib and Oliver El Khatib. What started as a record label quickly became something much bigger. OVO signed artists like Party Next Door, Majid Jordan, Roy Woods, and Pop Kayan, acts that Drake helped elevate into their own legitimate careers. In 2022, OVO Sound broke away from Warner Records and went independent, giving Drake and his team even more control over the music and the money. But OVO ain't just a record label, it's a lifestyle brand. The OVO clothing line, with that iconic owl logo, became one of the most recognizable streetwear brands in the world. Drake built out separate LLCs for OVO clothing and kept expanding the merchandise operation. Every October, OVO Fest, Drake's annual music festival in Toronto, brought the biggest names in music to his city, turning Toronto into a destination for fans from around the globe and putting millions directly back into the local economy. Grammy. Then there's Nocta, Drake's sub-label collaboration with Nike that launched in 2020. The Nocta line, inspired by late-night creative sessions, blends athletic wear with luxury streetwear aesthetics. Drake had already been in a deal with Nike worth around $10 million since 2013. Nocta took that relationship to another level, releasing limited edition sneakers and apparel that sold out within minutes and created a resale market that further elevated the brand's cultural status. He co-founded Dream Crew in 2017, a production company that's been behind some of the most critically acclaimed television of the past decade. Dream Crew helped bring Top Boy back from cancellation. That British crime drama had been dropped by Channel 4, and Drake personally championed bringing it to Netflix, where it went on to win global audiences and critical praise. Dream Crew also has its fingerprints on Euphoria, the HBO series starring Zendaya that became one of the most talked about shows of its era. That ain't just passion. That's a calculated move into the content space that prints money and earns awards simultaneously. Drake went into the spirits game with Virginia Black, a bourbon whiskey brand he launched in 2016. The product sold 4,000 bottles in its first week alone, which in the luxury spirits world is considered a massive opening. Most celebrity alcohol brands take months to move those numbers. Drake moved them in days, proving once again that his name carries commercial weight in whatever category he enters. He invested in 100 Thieves in 2018, one of the most prominent esports and gaming media organizations in the world. At a time when most rappers weren't even paying attention to gaming culture, Drake was making equity plays in the space. That investment has only appreciated as gaming and esports have exploded into multi-billion-dollar industries. He launched More Life Growth Company, a wellness-focused cannabis company in Canada, in 2019, entering yet another industry, his Apple Music exclusivity deal, where he signed a $19 million arrangement making Apple Music the sole platform for certain releases, reshaped how artists think about streaming partnerships. And as the global ambassador for the Toronto Raptors since 2013, Drake has served as the cultural face of the city's NBA franchise.
A Grammy winner who sold millions of records. Toronto's own Drake is at the top of his game.
He's agreed to be point guard. They're training him.
So it's no wonder the Toronto Raptors want to capitalize on his fame.
Blending his personal brand with the team in a way that elevated both. He's courtside at almost every home game when he's in town. He beefs with opposing players. He's part of the Raptors' identity in a way that no celebrity ambassador relationship has really replicated elsewhere in professional sports. Every single one of these moves points back to Toronto. Every brand, every festival, every investment, it all circles back to his city. Now let's talk about how this man actually lives, because this is where the story goes from impressive to genuinely unbelievable. Drake's primary residence is a 50,000 square foot mega mansion in Toronto's Bridle Path neighborhood, an area so exclusive that it's commonly referred to as Millionaire's Row. The house has a name. He calls it the Embassy, and the name fits because walking into this place is less like entering someone's home and more like entering a head of state's residence. Drake purchased the 2-acre plot back in 2016 for $6.7 million.
There is luxury, and then there is ultra luxury, and that is what the builder behind Drake's mansion under construction has created. Our Andrea Kay stopped by the Bridle Path site and has this report.
It's a residential construction site like no other. This 35,000 square foot mansion on 2 acres in the Bridle Path is the future home of Drake.
He immediately broke ground on construction and spent years building the embassy from the ground up, working closely with renowned Canadian architect Ferris Raffauli, a man known for designing some of the most opulent spaces in the world. The finished product cost an estimated $100 million to develop. $100 million for a single private residence in Toronto, built by a man who grew up helping his mom pay bills and watching his father from a distance. The exterior of the embassy is built from 19th century limestone, the same kind of material you see on the grand old buildings of Europe. The symmetry is perfect. The landscaping is immaculate. There's a massive motor court out front, the kind designed to accommodate multiple luxury vehicles at once. The whole thing looks less like a house and more like a government building or a museum dropped into the middle of a residential neighborhood. Step inside and it gets even more wild. The main entryway greets you with a chandelier that contains over 20,000 hand-cut Swarovski crystals, a piece inspired by the chandelier at the Metropolitan Opera in New York City. It's considered the second largest of its kind in the entire world. Inside a man's house, that's the second largest Swarovski crystal chandelier on Earth, just hanging in someone's foyer. The floors throughout the main living spaces are Italian marble. The ceilings soar. Custom millwork lines the walls. Gold accents catch the light everywhere you look. It literally looks like a five-star hotel crossed with an art gallery. Every inch of this place was intentional. There's a full NBA regulation-sized indoor basketball court called the OVO Center. The court has a 21-foot pyramidal skylight flooding it with natural light, and Drake's iconic owl logo sits at center court. This ain't some little half-court situation. This is a regulation NBA floor inside a private home, where Drake has hosted actual NBA players for pickup games. The master suite alone is 3,200 square feet. 3,200 square feet for a bedroom. It comes with private terraces, a 2-story walk-in closet, and its own whiskey and champagne bar. The bathtub in the master suite is carved from a single block of black marble and weighs 4,000 pounds. 4,000 pounds. A bathtub carved from one piece of stone. That's not furniture, that's a monument. The embassy has a professional-grade recording studio built directly into the residence, so Drake can go from living room to studio without ever leaving the property. There's an indoor swimming pool lit by black granite lighting that gives the water a dramatic, almost cinematic look. There's a spa, a private gym, a home theater, and a wine cellar stocked with rare and vintage bottles. There's a jersey room filled with sports memorabilia from some of the most legendary athletes of all time. There's a nightclub-style lounge for private events. And sitting in one of the rooms is a custom Bosendorfer concert grand piano, one of the finest pianos ever made, designed in direct collaboration with legendary Japanese contemporary artist Takashi Murakami. Not a piano that Murakami inspired, a piano that Murakami actually helped design for Drake's house. The embassy sits behind a 4.4-meter-high fence with high-tech security systems running 24 hours a day. When Kanye West, in a moment of social media chaos, posted Drake's address publicly on the internet, Drake responded on Instagram by pointing out that the address was already publicly available and that it didn't change anything. He was unbothered. Because when your home is built like that, the address ain't the security. The fortress is the security. Beyond the embassy, Drake owns a 20-acre estate in Beverly Hills that he picked up in 2022 for $75 million. He also owns a 313-acre ranch in Washington, Texas, and the former inn at Dos Brisas, which includes stables, luxury villas, farmland, and private plunge pools. 313 acres. That Texas property serves as part escape, part investment, and part brand extension. A man who grew up in Toronto now owns a ranch bigger than most small towns. And then there's Air Drake, his own custom Boeing 767 private jet, valued at approximately $185 million. The jet was gifted to him by Canadian cargo airline Cargojet in 2019 in exchange for the brand exposure and cultural cachet that Drake's association would bring to the company. Let that sink in. A $185 million jet given as a gift because a company valued what just having Drake's name attached was worth to their brand. That's leverage. That's what happens when you build an empire correctly. Drake's car collection includes Rolls-Royces, Ferraris, and a Bugatti Veyron, among others. His 10-car garage at the embassy was built specifically to house the collection. When you step back and look at the full picture of what Drake has built in Toronto and beyond, it ain't just impressive, it's historic. This man went from a kid whose parents split when he was 5, to an actor doing TV for modest pay, to a rapper who built himself up mixtape by mixtape, to a mogul with a $400 million net worth, a $100 million mansion, a $185 million jet, and businesses spanning music, film, fashion, spirits, cannabis, gaming, and sports. But more than any single number or any single asset, what stands out about Drake's empire is how rooted it is in Toronto. In a world where the biggest stars moved to Los Angeles or New York and never looked back, Drake stayed. He bought the land, he built the palace, he named his label after the month he was born, October's very own, and made that label synonymous with the city. He brought OVO Fest to Toronto year after year. He put on for the Raptors when nobody outside Canada cared about that franchise the way they do now. He put Toronto on the map in a way that no artist from that city had ever done before and that few artists anywhere have done for their hometown. The embassy ain't just a house, it's a statement. It's Drake saying, I came from here, I'm staying here, and I built something here that will outlast every chart position and every streaming record. It's a landmark now, a cultural monument. People Google it more than almost any celebrity home on earth. It appeared in one of his music videos and went viral around the world. Architectural Digest gave it a full spread. It became the physical symbol of what Drake represents. Ambition without apology, loyalty to your roots, and the relentless pursuit of building something that lasts. His career earnings have exceeded $430 million before taxes. He pulls in an estimated $70 million per year across his various income streams. His music catalog generates tens of millions in royalties annually on its own. The OVO brand keeps printing money through merch, music, and cultural relevance. Nocta is growing. Dream Crew is producing. The touring engine keeps rolling. And the wildest part, Drake is still only in his late 30s. He ain't done, not even close. The man has decades of prime earning years ahead of him if he stays healthy and hungry. The trajectory is still pointing up. Drake didn't stumble into $400 million. He built it, brick by brick, bar by bar, deal by deal. From a Forest Hill kid who helped his mom keep the lights on to a man who owns one of the most expensive private residences in Canadian history. From a teenager filming a teen drama on a modest salary to a global ambassador for an NBA franchise in the city where he grew up. From dropping mixtapes online for free to signing a $400 million catalog deal that changed how the music industry talks about artist ownership. Toronto didn't just produce Drake. Drake made Toronto. And that, beyond all the numbers and all the assets and all the accolades, is the real legacy of the empire he's built. He owns a city, and the city knows it.